So far, we've discussed how you talk about race and racism with your kids regarding subjects that you have knowledge about. But now I want to shift this focus on subjects that you might still be learning about, or better yet, subjects that you're completely unaware of. Like, what happens when your kids ask you questions about racism when it comes to like Israel and Palestine, or not to say that you don't know, but like, or, racism against Asians during COVID-19, like how do you deal with topics that you yourself are still learning about?
I think, it comes back to what I said earlier, like tell the truth. Just say, oh, this is not an area that I know that much about, but it's really good that you're asking me these questions. I think it's great that you're interested in this, and let's learn more about it together. I think there's this pressure sometimes parents put on themselves to have it all figured out. And like when your child comes to you with a question, you go, oh, I'm the parent and this is this is the answer. But actually we know, especially when you become an adult, you discover that, oh, loads of adults didn't actually know anything. When I was a child, I thought every adult knew everything. And then I've realized now most of us don't know much. So, be honest, like I don't know much about this, but let's figure out something together. How about, you can set like a puzzle for them. You go find something out, I'll find something out, we'll come together, see what more we've learned, and just turn it into a learning journey. I like to see myself as a lifelong learner, and to encourage, all parents and all kids to just see this as it's just all about learning. We're just learning ourselves as humans, and we're learning about each other. So just lean into that. Don't feel like you have to be the expert and the authority, which I think is a lot of the problem sometimes on social media. Everyone's coming at each other like, I'm the expert, I'm the authority. And actually, no, just sit back, listen, learn. It's really.
No, and I appreciate you know hitting home that same message of being really honest, and always being open to learning, and sort of switching things up a little bit. Are there any topics about race or identity that your kids have had to school you on or had to teach you about?
Oh, interesting. I don't know. Are there anything? I'm trying to think if there's anything recent. Definitely, yeah. I'm always learning from my kids, and that's another thing. Like when I say to parents, if you're having conversations with your kids about race or any other topic,
Hmm.
again, don't go in like, I've come in to teach you. And I have to tell myself this because obviously I've written the whole book on race, so I can sit down and be like, well, actually, the whole point is you want to learn. So just ask questions and listen, and that's what I try to do with my kids. And my boys love to talk, so they'll just sit down and go off. One conversation I had with my eldest was really interesting. I don't know how we got onto the topic, and then he started talking about the N word and how one of his favorite rappers had was using the N word, and then obviously he was on stage performing, and the audience was mostly white, and they're all singing along using the N word. So he had this. He gave me a long, I'm calling it a TED talk. He gave me like a long talk on why all these kids should not be in the audience using the N word, and why, in fact, the rapper should not be using the N word, and how none of his friends would ever use it with him. And, it was just really interesting to listen to him and listen to his perspective, because this was not something that we had had a discussion about before specifically, especially when it comes to the use of that word in hip hop. We're both fans of hip hop, so it's something that's there, but we hadn't really had like long discussions about it. So it's interesting hearing his take.
Wow, and I think that really just goes back into what you were saying earlier about the fact that your kid is able to have this. I love what you said, comparing it to a TED talk. I love it because it's like it really does show the proof in your pudding of you instilling that literacy in your kids, and now your kids are able to sort of articulate these things, and they're able to see what's going on in the world and be able to not just look at it as it is, but to be able to dissect what's going on.